Do you know what the Fourth Amendment is?
I knew that at one point.
No, that's
What's the second?
Bearing
right to bear arms is the Second Amendment.
What'd you say?
speech and press. Isn't the freedom of speech is the first one?
Freedom of speech, First Amendment. The Second Amendment was
Right to bear arms, wasn't it?
right to bear arms. And the Fourth?
We know them, we just don't know the numbers of
We know them, we just don't know them. All right, what about the Fifth?
the right to the Senate. I believe the fifth.
It would be, yeah, and that's part of it, but the right to not incriminate yourself.
Yeah. Not to say anything.
Okay.
We know that from
From cop movies. That's awesome. Okay. So let me ask this. If you are in a public setting, like we are today in a park, do you have any expectation of privacy?
Yeah. Yes.
You do?
Unless do you mean we expect it? Like we expect not to be bothered in a certain way?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think people can come up to you and talk and try to be friendly, but like privacy as in like take your phone and look through it. Like people have boundaries, and I think some people, like if you try to respect the other people's boundaries, that's a good thing. But
I think when you're out in public, you're out in public. If you're in your home or someplace where nobody else is really entitled to be at, then that's privacy. I think if you're in a park, you're pretty much open. You're in open territory. So
There's people.
yeah, there's
You're
people.
gonna come across that.
So if you're having a personal moment out where there's public people, then of course your area is going to be disturbed. But if you're at home or something, that's private. Like when you're in places that only you're entitled to, really, then that's when it's private. But if
So
you're outside,
in public it's not private, but in your own home,
on your own home,
in your car.
yeah, in your car, yeah.
Okay. Well, what about your possessions? You mentioned the phone.
Yes, your possessions. Like if you were out and somebody like touched your car, was like all over your car. I mean, that's your.
it's like really different outside because there are boundaries that you need to follow, but like you also don't involve yourself completely in their business. Like if they're having a private moment, that's a private moment. You will maybe be interrupted, but if somebody was like somebody that you don't know comes up to you is like asking all these questions about your private topic, that's a little invasive.
You're having a private moment in public, then and you get interrupted.
It happens.
It happens.
But like
'cause
if
you
they
were
try
having
to
a
put
private moment.
yourself in the topic, that's a whole nother subject. So it's really a hit and miss when you're in public.
Okay. I have two more questions, and I'll stop bothering you guys. If we don't know the laws clearly, if we don't know the amendments, if we don't know what the laws are based on, how do we expect our government officials and our police officers to uphold those laws?
I think because they're in the career that they are in, I think that they are expected to be on another level as far as knowing the law, knowing what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. Because they're in the position they're in, it's like mandatory. You know, people can grow up and maybe somebody who didn't go to school or, you know, somebody different, like a common person, could not know the laws. And yeah, it'd be an issue because we're expected as citizens of the United States to know the laws and we're taught them and stuff. But for a cop, it's like a whole nother level. Like if you're going to be using force to somebody or if you're going to be doing certain things, having somebody's life in your hands, then you need to know the law backwards.
I think it's more about integrity.
I think both people should know.
You're expected to have the integrity, not to take advantage of their position. Like that comes
To take
down to
advantage of naivety.
Do you think that as the generations progress and as time goes on, do you think there's more or less integrity in this world?
Less integrity.
Definitely less.
So
And we should know the laws because we live here, so we should know them.
Well, yeah.
But if we don't, you know, it's not like we're walking around and like we're all cops. It's not like a field that we're supposed to specialize in. Like it's not really for us. I think it's not really
I think
dire.
it's sad that we don't know all of them, but cops should. I think it's because they're going into the government
I
that
don't
they
think
should know them.
it's easy for them to take advantage of it.
If everybody knew that, yeah, definitely. So that's definitely important. Like when something happens to you, suddenly everybody wants to catch up with what the laws are and stuff. But
And it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
You should actually want to do that anyway.
yeah,
Like
you should know it.
Like I don't know it.
But there's a lot of
so
things, you know, we
that's
focus
bad,
on
but-
rather than focusing on that because it's not that big until it happens to us.
Do you think in your generation, because you're a younger generation than I am, do you think in your generation they focus more on Facebook and social media than they do the laws that govern this land?
Yeah, they
definitely.
do. Because we stopped caring. Like, as generations go on, it seems like we start caring less and less and less.
Okay. My last question, and then I'll stop bothering you guys. If an officer of the law, you're obviously not doing anything wrong here. You're not committing a crime, you haven't committed a crime, and you're not about to commit a crime. But an officer of the law walks up right now and says, I'd like to see all of your IDs. What do you do?
They don't have that right, because I know that. Because
I don't mind showing
At the very least, I'd ask them to see a badge. Like,
All right, they come up in full uniform.
Full uniform and everything. Okay. I show my
I
ID.
show my ID. I don't
I'd
have
probably
one,
ask
but
them
I
to
show it.
I'd show my ID and then be like, okay, so why did you...
I mean, unless they're like, I guess it's out of respect you show them your ID, but I mean, like, we want to know why you need
like
to.
a reason to come and talk. It's not like they can just come over and start
It's like when
harassing.
you're driving a car, like, they can't pull you over and search your car for no reason.
It's like our
But I
integrity
mean-
to them. Like, our integrity, okay, they're an officer of the law. We don't have to, but we'll show them, you know, because of their
Out of
position,
respect,
you know,
we'll
out
show
of
them, but we
respect.
really shouldn't have
Really
to,
shouldn't
because it's like
I
he
would,
has no
yeah,
reason.
I might show him my ID. I wouldn't let him search me though.
Yeah, or anything like
especially
that.
if I
Because
was.
it's like, we don't know why you're searching us. So,
Let me pose it in one different way. Do you think in Nazi Germany they went around asking everybody for their papers, regardless if they committed a crime against law or not?
Yeah.
they did.
Yes, they did.
They went around searching them for their
Did they just bust in your house and search whatever they wanted whenever they wanted to?
because they had the power to, and nobody really stopped them.
Okay.
They'd stop people on the street.
Okay. For a minute I thought it was...
For the,
Yeah, I thought, they busted
and
in, you know,
everything.
it kind of reminds me of that a lot.
Without looking at it up, would the Fifth Amendment be more about the freedom of religion?
First Amendment's freedom of religion. First Amendment's freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, and freedom to assemble.
Okay, wow.
Or protest. You're allowed to protest peacefully, is what it says.
So the Fourth Amendment is the one where they're not allowed to invade your privacy. I don't know what it's called. Yeah.
Search and seizure, correct, yes. All right, well, I thank you guys very much. I'm sorry to take up your time, but I appreciate